Om Dyau Shantihi, Antariksham Shantihi, Prithivi Shantihi, Apa Shantihi, Oshadaya Shantihi, Vanaspataya Shantihi, Vishvedeva Shantihi, Brahma Shantihi, Sarvam Shantihi, Shantireva Shantihi, Sama Shantireti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Peace is in the heavens, peace is in the sky, peace is in the waters. The earth is filled with peace. The trees and the herbs, the plants, are filled with peace. May the peace of Brahman pervade all divine forms, and may that peace be ours. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all. Good morning, and thank you for coming here. I know it's not easy. We know it's not easy. We know it's really tough. We're so grateful that it takes some effort to get here. It's supposed to get better in December. We shall see. We've given up trying to give things. Oh, it's going to be October. No, November. No, December. It's like, hopefully it'll happen. So, we're asked to choose lecture topics 6 weeks, sometimes even 8 weeks in advance. And sometimes you'll like, okay, what's my topic? It's like, how did I come up with that? And then we'd have to kind of backtrack and try to figure out, like, what am I going to say about that? What was I thinking? Now, this one was kind of obvious because it's like Thanksgiving season is coming up. The holiday season's coming up. We all know this. And so blessings of the season felt like an appropriate thing to talk about. But right now, it doesn't seem to be such a blessed time, does it? It's been kind of a rough year. In fact, it's been kind of a wretched year, all in all. We've been kind of scarred by fires and by mudslides, and more fires and more fires, and the fear of more fires, and the fear of future mudslides. And so many people now seem to be so angry, and it just makes it worse. Just all this, everything seems to be so intensified right now, and it seems like climate change has become really up close and personal. And we don't know what to do about it, and we end up just feeling like, I don't know about blessings. It just seems a little tough right now. We all want to heal. We all want to heal from what we've gone through. We want to heal from what everybody's going through. But it doesn't seem like we're quite ready for it yet. It's something we all want, but it hasn't quite happened. We're horrified and we're grief-stricken by all the violence, by what just went on in Thousand Oaks, by the shootings in Pittsburgh, by the hate crimes that are increasing, by this senseless violence that just seems to be getting more pronounced. And we don't know what to do about it. It seems like we've slipped into this kind of bardo that we didn't even know existed. We didn't even know that a bardo like that could exist or that we could be in it. And we seem to be going into kind of a daze, like, how did this happen so fast? And we ask ourselves, is it going to get worse? What's happening? I got an email Friday from Rabbi Arthur Gross Schaefer, who's a dear friend of all of us. So I'd like to read that, because it's meant for all of us. He wrote, "It's hard to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving when there are still fires out of control in both Southern and Northern California. It's hard to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving in the light of the deaths and the loss of so many homes. It's hard to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving when we're still in mourning and the tragic deaths in Thousand Oaks, and of course those attending the services at the synagogue in Pittsburgh. But the prophet Jeremiah said, 'I will turn their mourning into joy, and will comfort them and make them rejoice from their sorrow.' So Rabbi Arthur said, why do I say have a happy Thanksgiving? Because I do believe in in spite of the darkness and fear, I also see light and hope. That is why I'm so thankful this Thanksgiving. And that is the message for all of us. So we will endure no matter what we have to endure. No matter what we endure now, no matter what we will endure in the future, we will endure. And we will come together. Because unity is the law of the universe. Unity of existence and love is the law of the universe. And we will come together because that is our divine nature. Our real nature is divinity itself. Our real nature is unity with all beings. So we will come together. We will eventually come together. And we will eventually all experience the peace and the joy of our own nature. We shall unify because all perfection, all unity, all completion and joy is within every one of us. It's within our hearts. We have no choice to become who we are already. We just have to manifest it and try to remember to see it in all beings. So in that vein, let's remind ourselves that we do have Thanksgiving coming up, that it is the holiday season, and we have so much to be thankful for. We're here. Hello, we're on the earth, not below the earth. Some of us went through really terrible experiences in the fire. Some of us lost things. Some of us lost our homes. We got through it because basically things come and go. But we're here to appreciate the fact that we've got trees and sky and mountains. We have to be really grateful for our first responders. Oh my God. Those people who had to endure things that no one should have to endure. But they did it for us. They did it so we wouldn't have to deal with it. Let's be grateful. We have to remember that the holidays coming up, we have to remember what we should be grateful for and what we can really let go. Because sometimes the holiday season can be so frantic that it comes and goes before we even notice it. It's like, oh my God, we get caught up in this whirlwind and we're taken downstream before we even know what happens. So we have to kind of put things in perspective and know why we're celebrating what we're celebrating. So right after Thanksgiving is Hanukkah. And then we have, of course, Christmas. And then this just quite recently here in Hollywood, we celebrated Kali Puja. And Saturday we had a little worship here of Jagadhatri, both of these being manifestations of the Divine Mother of the Universe. And of course, all Hindus celebrated Diwali, the Festival of Lights, when Rama comes back to Ayodhya and his way is lit the entire time with bazillions of candles lighting his way. And then we can't forget Kwanzaa. Beginning of the celebration is December 26th, in which we celebrate the African American diaspora and their contribution to the world. All these incredible, wonderful, inspiring celebrations they're celebrated with candles. Even the Thanksgiving table, the traditional table, has candles on it. All these are celebrated with candles. So what's the point? It's light. It's all about the light. All spiritual traditions have as its goal to bring light, to remove the darkness of whatever darkness we have within us. That is the goal of every spiritual tradition. Because spiritual darkness is our big problem. In fact, if we look at it really carefully, spiritual darkness is our only problem. It's responsible for every grief that we have, every problem we have, any pain that we have, or the pain we give others. It's all about spiritual darkness. So we all seek, and every religious tradition teaches, bringing light to remove that darkness. In the Christian Mass, I love it in the Latin. I'm a traditionalist that way. Of course, I was a classics person. Anyway, it has, in the Credo, in the I Believe, Deus de Deum, Lumen de Lumine, God of God, Light of Lights. It's so wonderful. The divine is the light of light. That essence of light is that divine. In the pujas, in the Hindu tradition, even you see that we already did puja this morning, did it? You see that lights are already lit. Even the simplest Hindu worship will always have a light there. And that light represents the light of the divine. In the 16-item pujas that we do, every year we have a more elaborate worship that we do, and those are we have them 4 times a year, one for Sri Ramakrishna, one for Sarada Devi, Holy Mother, one for Swami Vivekananda, one for Swami Brahmananda. And that these more elaborate pujas, when we offer the light, we say, I offer you this light. May my very innermost being be illumined by your light. That our own light, may our innermost being be illumined by the light of the divine. It's very inspiring. Every year we do Shivaratri, which is the nighttime worship of Lord Shiva, that we do every year, kind of end of winter, beginning of spring sort of time. And in that, when we do the worship, we do 4 different pujas during that night. And when you do these rituals, when you do these pujas, what we do, they say in the Hindu tradition that only God can worship God. Only the divine can worship the divine. So what we do is all these purifications of ourselves to make us realize our own divinity so we can truly do that worship. So in this purification of the body that we do for Shivaratri, we're sitting down, we're sitting cross-legged, and you go from the top of your head down to the bottom, your knees and your feet going back up. Om Namah Shivaya, the light of all lights, the Atman dwelling in the cave of my heart. Om Namah Shivaya, the light of all lights, the Atman dwelling in the cave of my heart. We repeat that 5 times, and then you multiply that times 4, because you're doing 4 of the worships. Well, I tell you, by the time you've done that 20 times with great intensity, it makes an impression. Now, those words are not just for people who do Shivaratri worship. It's meant for us all. The light of all lights, the Atman dwelling in the cave of my heart, that's our real being. In Judaism, the candles are lit every Shabbat for the Sabbath, every Shabbat. And then, of course, just as the Hindus have the Festival of Lights, in the Jewish tradition, Hanukkah is the Festival of Lights. There's 8 nights, and every night another candlelight is lit. And this is to serve to remind the faithful of God's active presence in the world through the miracle of saving the Jews from the Maccabees. But what's also interesting, I knew nothing about this, of course, I had to read up on it, and I so enjoyed learning that not only the God's active presence in the world, but the symbol of candlelight means joy, which is, of course, right up our Hindu alley, because when we talk about the divine, we talk about, whether we talk about the Atman, the divine within us, or the Brahman, this infinite divine existence, we talk about another word for this is Satchit Ananda, infinite being, infinite awareness, and infinite joy. So the light of the Atman is infinite joy. The light of all of the Brahman is infinite joy. And every joy that we experience, we're just getting a little particle of that infinite joy that is our true nature and the nature of divinity itself. So I loved discovering that. So the blessings of light are the blessings of the season. And it's really up to us to take advantage of this knowledge and to really use it so we can experience that joy that's our real nature, that's part of who we are. Okay, so on that note, we're going to take a break. Everybody, close your eyes. I'm serious, you too. Close your eyes and put your feet flat on the ground. Both feet. Your arms, put them in your lap. Your weight should be evenly distributed and your spine straight, so that your pelvis and your neck are sort of in the same line. Your head is gracefully, just comfortably sitting there. You You can feel the weight of your arms. Very comfortable. You can feel the weight of your thighs in the chair. You can feel the weight of your feet on the ground, touching Mother Earth. Now let's just breathe. Sometimes we just don't allow ourselves to breathe. As we breathe in, let's bring in thoughts of strength and purity. As we breathe out, let's breathe out any pain that we have in the body and mind, any anxiety, any fear or worry. Breathe in strength and purity, and breathe out any anxiety or fear or pain that we have. And as we breathe in, let's remember that that divine light is within us. And now let us remember and pray for the well-being of others. Our happiness is dependent upon the joy and happiness of others. So if we know anyone who is in pain, either with the body or mind, or in fear, anyone that we know who is suffering, let us send that person our thoughts of love and thoughts of healing, thoughts of peace. And now let us send our thoughts that send currents of love and peace and well-being to everywhere in the world, to people everywhere. To people above, all beings above us, all beings below us, all beings to the east and the west, to the north and the south. Send thoughts of love and well-being and prayers for all well-being. And now let us feel our kinship with all beings through the divinity of the Atman within us and within all beings. Feel how peaceful and pure your body is. Feel the purity and peacefulness of your mind. Feel that the atmosphere around you is very peaceful. You fear no one, and no one fears you. Your mind is calm, and you feel deep peace. Visualize in the depths of your heart the divine, and see that divine as the light of all lights. That light is radiant, effulgent, luminous. That light is soft and warm. And that light goes through every layer of your being. And you realize that every being has that same light. Go deep into the light of the Atman and experience the profound peace and joy that is there. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Gradually open your eyes. Become aware of your surroundings. Breathe easy again. When we remember our divine nature and remember the divine nature of others, that's when we can celebrate the holiday season in the way that we're supposed to celebrate it. That's the blessing of the season. That deep peace, the divinity within us and within every being. So Thanksgiving is coming up, and I love Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving not because I like turkey, because I'm a vegetarian, but save the birds, but because I love to be reminded about how thankful we need to be for so much and so many. Not obviously, of course, the firefighters who saved us all, and the first responders. But we need to be grateful for our community, the community where we live, our community here. We have to be grateful for each other. We're a great source of support for one another. We are grateful for you. We're grateful for our family. We're grateful for our friends. We're grateful for our pets. We're grateful for so much. I love Thanksgiving because it gives us the opportunity to look deep inside ourselves. And when we really honestly look deep inside ourselves, we become aware about how everything that every accomplishment, every joy, every triumph, everything we've ever learned, anything we've ever learned, has come through the grace of somebody else. Our parents, our siblings, our teachers, the schoolyard bully who made us stand on our own feet, the person who broke our heart, which later taught us compassion and wisdom. We are standing on the shoulder of thousands of people who will never know how much they've helped and supported us. I mean, does my third grade teacher remember me? Of course not, she's long dead, but I'm grateful. Fifth grade teacher was amazing. My high school chemistry teacher, and I'm lousy in any kind of science, was the best teacher I ever had. These people will never know how much they helped us, how much they encouraged us. When we realize how many times we're afraid to jump over that creek and someone said, "You can do that. You can ride that bike. You can get on a skateboard. You can sing that note. You can play that instrument. You can pass that test. You can get that job. You can get through that divorce. Your heart will survive. You can get through that death. You can get through that illness. You can get through everything because of what we've learned, and our spiritual teachers, oh my God, where would we be without it? Our spiritual leaders. What would we do without our family who gave us that love and protection that we needed, even when we were screaming and yelling at them? People like Bach never knew that we would exist. But Johann Sebastian Bach, thank you. Given joy to hundreds of millions of people. My favorite painter, Vermeer. He never knew that centuries later people would be in tears looking at how he painted light. All these, what about the Beatles? Didn't that give us a lot of joy? All these, what about Shakespeare? What about these wonderful writers, the plays that we've attended? What about our celebrations? What about July 4th? What about the Declaration of Independence? Thank you. Jefferson never knew that we'd exist. But thank you, Thomas Jefferson. All these things that we have, thank you for giving the women vote. hello. She never knew that we'd be here, but we appreciate having that freedom. People who selflessly did so much for us, never knowing we'd come around. But we have to be thankful for them because their struggles and their suffering gave us what we have today. Whatever pain we've experienced in our lives, we have to be grateful for. Swami Vivekananda repeatedly said that he was so thankful for all the mistakes he made because it was from those mistakes that he learned. So every stupid thing, everything we're ashamed of, that we learned really well, didn't we? We'll probably never do that again. That's how we learn. So thankfulness is really important, not because it wears away the ego. The more that we feel that thankfulness, the more that we really look into our own hearts and see, I learned that from that person. That person did that for me. I got that I felt so wonderful because of that. I'm having this privilege because of this. Thank you, trees. Thank you, John Muir. Thank you, Teddy Roosevelt, for creating the national park system. Thank you, trees, for just being a tree. Thank you, birds, for being birds. Thank you, dogs and cats, for being idiots that you are. How much they grace our lives. When we really think and look deep within our hearts, we can feel nothing but profound gratitude for all this grace that's being showered on us at all times. When we realize that, it wears away the ego. And that is the most important thing in our spiritual practice, is somehow wear down this granite ego that gets in the way of everything. The ego is our biggest problem. I often think of the ego as being like one of those tight polyester suits that catches fire, and you can't take it off. And it's like burning, but instead of taking it off, we cling to it because it's me, my. One of our closest friends is a disciple of His Holiness Dalai Lama, and he told me this a few days ago, and I just love it. The Dalai Lama gave a teaching to him, which made a very powerful impression, and that was your American mantra of I, me, very harmful. No kidding. It's the big bloated I, me. You gotta feel kind of the elbows going up because, everyone has an ego. Everyone has a sense of I-ness and my-ness and me-ness. But the problem is, what kind of ego are we dealing with? The ego that's the problem is the ego that attaches, and we all are in the same boat here, to transient things. To those things which pass away. Those things that get burnt up in a fire, washed away by a mudslide, those things. Those are the things that give us grief. The body, how could that person say I'm fat? How could they do that? Doesn't that person realize who I am? My car, my house, my wife, my husband, my boyfriend, my kids, my property, my opinion. You say that, but my opinion is this. And then pretty soon you're all fighting each other. It's like, really? How are we spending our hours? How are we being? This is how we get angry, because of this unhealthy attachment to what Sri Ramakrishna called the unripe ego. Sri Ramakrishna made a great distinction with ego. Said we all have to deal with the ego, except for people like Sri Ramakrishna. Because he said it's like the ashwata tree, which is like one of those Indian trees. You cut it down and the next day it's grown something else. So you can cut down the ego, he said, but it will sprout up again. So the ego that says, I, me, my, with your elbows out, knocking everybody out of the way so you can get what you want first, what we want first, get out of the way of that piece of chocolate. That is the ego that causes us grief, because if someone else takes that chocolate, that chocolate was given to me. It was a personal present, and that person's eating it. And pretty soon, it's like, really? It's a piece of chocolate. Last thing you needed. But the truth is, this is where we go, and it isn't necessarily a piece of chocolate. It's my opinion. that person thinks that about politics, oh, that person's so ignorant. That person should think this. It's that I, me, mine, unhealthy, unripe ego, as Sri Ramakrishna characterized it. The ripe ego is the ego that says, I am a child of the God. I'm a child of God. I am a companion of God. I am a servant of the divine. Or I am the light of the divine. I am a manifestation, as is every being, of the light of the divine. If we could start even trying to think that way, this world would be such a better place. The practice of gratitude, of thankfulness, loosens the grip of this toxic ego that makes us feel that we are the center of the universe. With thankfulness, with gratitude, we get a much better perspective on who we really are, and that is a child of the divine, a manifestation of the divine, as is every being that we encounter. So what does this have to do with Christmas? Well, Christmas season's coming up, but we often forget that Christmas is actually about, guess who? Christ. That's really the point of Christmas. And what did Christ teach us? He gave 2 great commandments. Love the Lord with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength. And the second commandment, he said, is to love your neighbor as yourself. Very simple. What does this have to do with giving presents? Presents, when it's an expression of love, it's wonderful because we often can't really express how much we love. So we give a little present as a representation of that. But when there's no love and there's giving of presents, it's just a bribe. It's just a way of paying people off. So we really have to think about the deep meaning of what we're trying to do when we're going crazy. Oh my God, I've got to do this present for this person, that person, that. What do we really want to say to that person? Leave me alone? Or do we want to say, thank you, I'm grateful for you, I love you? That's the point of presents. That's the point of Christmas. What else did the King of Peace, the Prince of Peace, teach us? That the kingdom of God is within. That is what we learn from the Prince of Peace. Not that there will ever be a time on this earth when the whole world is peaceful. It ain't going to happen. We're all at different stages of evolution. Some people are highly evolved and some people are much lower on that state of spiritual evolution, and they will do whatever they can with their big ego to knock people out of the way, roll them over, and try to do harm because they want something, thinking that their want, their desire, their taking will somehow make them happy. They'll have a few lives to go before they learn that taking is no way to be happy. It's only in giving and sharing. And that's the point of thankfulness. Because when we have genuine gratitude, we realize that it's not about me. It's about us. And we're all in it together. Because there's only one infinite divine existence. We're all just playing around wearing these masks of different names and different forms. But there's only one infinite divine existence. That we all manifest these different beings. But we're all in it together. We go in it together, and we can help each other out. And by serving others as manifestations of divinity, then we can really experience joy. Not until then. Not if we're thinking of I, with a big bloated ego. That will never make anybody happy. So there never will be a time on earth where everything is peaceful. Because somebody's going to get in the way and try to take. What else did the Prince of Peace teach us? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and render unto God what is God's. Well, what is Caesar's is the thing that goes away in the mudslides and the debris flow and the fires. What is God's? Our hearts. The kingdom of God is within us. That is what is God's. And if we crap it up with different stuff and put in our transient possessions and our desires and our wants and it's mine, and mine, then how will the divine find a place on his throne? and it's His kingdom. The kingdom of God is within. We have to keep that place pure and holy so that we can actually realize that He's there, but we're putting so many layers of desire and want and hates and distractions on it that we can't even see, we can't even recognize our own divinity. And if we can't recognize our divinity, we're never going to be able to recognize the divinity of others. We have to be able to feel it within our own hearts before we can perceive it in others. You know, it's the season of peace and love. And that's not just for hippies. And it's for backs of VWs. And it's not just for Hallmark cards with those annoying little poems inside. Peace and love are actually tangible characteristics that can be transmitted the way that a frying pan can transmit the heat from a stove. And if you've ever been in the presence of a genuinely holy person, you can feel that incredible peace and love and holiness, even against your own knowledge, even without you wanting it. When you find a person who's gotten in touch with their own divinity and can see it in you, our whole minds go up. Our minds are elevated. They don't have to say a thing, but our minds go up to a higher level. It isn't the personal property of that person. It's with all of us. All of us have that capability. It isn't for just swamis or nuns or God knows not just monastics. I've many a householder devotee who've deeply inspired me by their holiness. It's the property of all of us, but we all have to make an effort. We all have to try to recognize the divinity of others and see that divinity within ourselves. Because if we don't try to do it, it will be the property of others. And we will allow that peace that's our own nature and that holiness, which is our own, we'll allow it to slip away without experiencing what we have within our own hearts. And that's a tragic waste of a lifetime. Not to use the gifts that we've been giving, that we have within us, because it's our birthright. It's our birthright. If we look within our own hearts, we will find the divine there. And the more our hearts are purified and the more our ego gets out of the way, the more peace and the more joy we will have. The Atman within us, the divine, is nearer than the nearest. It's closer, as they say, closer than our own hand. You know, one of the world's favorite Christmas carols is Silent Night, Holy Night. All is calm, all is bright. That calmness is our nature, brightness. That luminous essence is that divinity. The divinity, not only the sweet baby Jesus, but the divinity in our own hearts that respond. Without that within us, we wouldn't be able to access or respond to that divinity of that little baby. The divinity within ourselves allows us to see it in others and to see it in that bright, beautiful light of the baby. We have to recognize that and remember it. You know, every year, as I say, we do these 4 big pujas every year, these big 16-item pujas, and after them, we go up to the pavilion and we have what is called a homa fire. It's an ancient Vedic ceremony. It's a Vedic purification ceremony. And we do it with, it's complicated, it's difficult. You put up all these pieces of wood and you have clarified butter and you pour the butter into and make all these offerings into the fire. And you offer all these other, you have fruit, and you have some flowers, and you have perfume, and there's incense, and of course light. You're even offering light into the fire. It's the fire of Brahman. And towards the end of this puja, of this homa fire, we all get up together and we say, hold on, let me remember. I'm going back to whatever I may have done, said, or thought, in waking, in dreaming, or in dreamless sleep, with my body or my mind, may this be an offering to Brahman. We offer up ourselves and all we have at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. Now, it doesn't have to be the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. It could be we offer it up to the Atman, to the divine within. Offer it to Brahman. Offer it to whatever divine aspect you find speaks to your heart. But what it does is it takes whatever I may have done, said, or thought, may it be an offering to Brahman. Now, these external worships that we have are only an externalization of some deep, profound realization that an illumined soul had. They're just an attempt to approximate this understanding, this realization. That means that whatever's done externally, we can do internally. You don't have to go through all that paraphernalia. It takes days to get together. You don't have to polish all that brass. You don't have to get all those twigs and sticks and ghee and offerings. We can do it within our own hearts. Whatever I may have done, said, or thought, may it be an offering to Brahman. May it be an offering to the light of the divine within me. That means whatever problem, whatever stress, whatever anxiety, whatever fears we have, whatever problems that we have that would seem insoluble to us, whatever our heartaches are, we can offer into that infinite fire of Brahman. And if we do that with all sincerity, it makes a great impact. It really does help. Another thing we can do is there's another homa called the Viraja Homa, which appears, we can read about it in the Mahanarayana Upanishad, and it has these wonderful mantras in it. And one very profound mantra is Jyotiraham. I am the light. I am that light. I am the light of infinite divinity. I am that eternal, unperturbable, infinite divine light. I am that light. Jyotir aham. Jyoti is the word for light, Sanskrit word for light. Aham means I. Jyotir aham. Repeat it with me. Jyotir aham. Jyotir aham. Jyotir aham. I am that light. Whenever we run into anything that we feel, I'm getting wrongly identified, Jyotiraham, I am that light. There's another sentence that's often attached to this, and that is Viraja Vipatma Bhuyasam. And that is, may I be freed from all my misguided thoughts and actions that make me suffer. Every bit of suffering that we experience is because of our own misguided thoughts and actions, either in this life or in previous lives. Very simple. It's called karma. Either in this life or in previous lives. Repeat after me. Viraja, Viraj, Vipatma, Bhuyasam. May I be freed from misguided thoughts and actions that make me suffer. And again, Jyotiraham, Jyotiraham. I am that light. If we can remember this, doesn't it feel freeing just to hear it, just to say it? I am that light. I am not this mortal being. I'm not this body which is going to go away, which insists on getting old, which betrays me by getting sick, whether we're old or young, male or female, dog, cat, human being. The body just gives up. It's transient. It comes and it goes. The mind. Nothing sadder than not be able to control of our own minds, where our moods and our anxieties and our fears can just take over like a tidal wave. Remember, Jyotiraham, I am that light. Sometimes we come to points in our life and when we think, I'm standing here by myself. I can't talk to anybody about this. My parents, if they're alive, I can't talk to them about it. maybe they're not supportive. Maybe I feel completely and totally alone. Sometimes we all come to that. We feel like it's me and everything else. We feel like we have no mother, no father, no friend, no companion, no brother or sister. We're friendless. We have nothing. We feel that sometimes. So, of course, there's an answer to that too. There's this wonderful mantra that I won't torture you with the Sanskrit, but it says, I take refuge in the light of the Atman, which shines even when there is no mother, no father, no brother, no friend, no companion, no beloved, no knowledge of day or night. When we feel inside so dark that whether it's day or light doesn't even matter, because we feel encroached by the darkness. That's when we say, I take refuge in the light of the Atman. Because we have to remember that no matter how bleak things can be, no matter how difficult our life can seem, no matter what we come to in our life that seems so unbearable, even if we get the worst disease in the world, even if we're facing the worst prospects in the world, even if they chop off our body bit by bit, that's one thing that can never be taken away from us. The divine light of the Atman, because it's who we are. It is not affected by the body. It's not affected by the mind. It's our innermost being. I take refuge in that light. Thank you. Let me conclude with a chant. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Aviravirma Heti Rudrayate Dakshinam Mukham Te Namapa Nityam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the infinite divine being, whom the Christians call the Father in heaven, who the Jews call the Holy One, who the Zoroastrians call Ahura Mazda, who the Buddhists call Buddha, who the Native Americans call the Great Spirit, who the Hindus call Brahman. May that infinite divine being lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May our hearts be filled with gratitude, grace, and right understanding. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all.